what it is a very strong steel, and we opted for 2 trebles instead of 3, allowing you just to kind of get more bite on fish. But it's a really compact, small bait. It's super versatile for casting and for trolling and for strolling, from bank fishing if the water's deep enough. But one of the things that this lure has, and it's completely unique, is it's got the feature to break away part of the lip. And this is straight out of the package. It doesn't come with external weight, which I will talk about. It's a slow floating. When you leave it out of the package like this, it goes deeper and has a tighter wobble. And you know, it's difficult to see, but if you come by the booth or go to one of the dealers, you'll see what I'm talking about, the part that breaks away. The lure itself, though, for one lure, Hiroshi tried to cover as many different scenarios as possible. There's an external weight. There's an external weight that you can add to these. And you can see that's the full weight. See how it sinks down? So now it gives you the ability to fish a jerkbait, you know, 15 feet, 25 feet. Hiroshi and I have tested this and caught smallmouth on Lake Erie as deep as 37 feet of water. So it's basically, you know, you figure out the sink rate, approximately a foot a second, but that's the full weight on there. The lure itself has got amazing, like, left to left or left to right action. One of the things that I will say with this lure versus other jerkbaits is don't overwork it. You can fish it on a spinning rod. I like it with 10-pound braid and a 10 or 12-pound fluorocarbon leader, or a bait caster with straight fluorocarbon. It doesn't matter, but can you guys see my line from where you're sitting? See how slack it is on the water? See how I get it tight right there, and then I let it go slack? One of the most important things with the jerkbait is to give it action on slack line. You want to just make that line go tight. You can get a lot out of a lure just by not working it too much, but the thing with this one is that external weight can be added. So it's an add-on purchase. It comes in like just these little packages here. It's tough to see, but you can add this to any one of the Nishine Lure Works products or this Erie 95 MD, and it just kind of changes everything. So out of the package, slow float with the full weight gives you the ability to sink it to really whatever depth you want. And then the other style here, what do we have? So that was with the, bear with me guys, that was with the full lip not being broken away. I'm going to take it off. I'm going to show you the same weight. You're able to trim it. So it comes full, it's going to sink. If I go halfway with the weight and cut it, it's going to allow the bait to suspend. Just get the clip on here, guys. Technical difficulty. You guys ever been up here before? I'm a full-time fishing guide. I fish like all the time. This is a different scenario. To be up here on a tank, casting a lure is not the easiest, so I appreciate you guys coming. I'll do my best to do a good job to explain this. But if I'm going too fast, or you have questions, or you want to see something, I'm going to be at the booth. Just come over after and talk to me, okay? I've got the weight now. I've trimmed it down to allow this same lure, the same bait that I let sink down 30 feet, that I let slow float over the rocks or over the weed bed or beside the cover, I can now get it to suspend. So by playing with those weights and trimming them, you can modify the lure's action. But again, don't overwork this lure. You want that slack in the line when you're making it jump. So slack in the line, pop the slack out, short little reel. You can just do straight retrieves. All right, throw it out. You can do the straight retrieve, stop and go, which is good too. Hiroshi and I have primarily used this for smallmouth bass in the Great Lakes like Lake Erie and the Niagara River. Caught some amazing fish with it. I have caught trout with it while I'm testing it. But the weight is a pretty unique thing, and the weight transfer system and just the quality of the hooks themselves, like they don't break. So you catch a big smallmouth when the water's 75 degrees and they're going crazy, you're not going to bend the hooks. You can throw this around, you know, weed lines. You can throw this around deep rocks. You can throw this in open sand. Whatever it is, you can stroll this for suspended fish. Playing with the different weights and using the two actions. So if you if you were to cut the lip away, it's going to give you a wider wobble, and it's not going to go as deep, but it's tough to notice, but you may find, you know, in a scenario that it works better for you. So it's been good. Both settings have been good. I really like fishing this in the suspended mode. You know, I've had a lot of success with that. I do that primarily, but with the lip broken, it's tough to see. But there's a slight change in the action. But the same lure, if you have two of them, and you have a pack of the external weights, you can really do a lot. So take a look at this. It's pretty unique. It's a very well-made lure. There's a lot of lures out there, but I'm going to tell you right now, there is a difference in the vibration these lures make, the little details on the finish, and the quality of the hooks themselves and the components. The only time I've ever broken one, guys, is if I make a bad cast and I hit something. I bounce it off the back of my motor, or I hit a rock or something. Those have been the main times I've had issues. And the hooks, the only times I've had hooks fail have been like a Chinook salmon or a lake trout in the net rolling, once it's landed. Not so much from fishing. So that's the Erie 95 ND by Nishine Lure Works. Lots of components and different things we have over there that you can look at. Does anybody have a question before I show you something else? Nobody? Would you ask me if you had a question, or would you just wait till I come down? Yeah? All right. So there's different ways to make it. We talked about suspending, we talked about the full sinking, we talked about the different actions of it. So the other thing, there's one more thing. If you don't have the weights and you want to make it suspend, it comes out of the package with size 6 trebles. If you go to a size 4 or slightly bigger, you can still get it to suspend or slowly sink. So that's another one. Another one that's been, honestly, has been amazing, guys, is it's called the Simcoe 75. And it looks very much like a traditional rattle bait, but it's silent. And when I say silent, it just doesn't have rattles, but it's not silent because the hooks are clanging and the snaps clanging. And it comes in two models. There's a Simcoe 75, and then there's a 75 heavyweight. It's got 2 line ratings, or 2 line ties on it. One for casting, it's a forward one, and then there's a vertical jigging. So this was one of those baits that I watched Hiroshi test this. He's down here somewhere. He's over here. Guys, this is Hiroshi. This is the creator, lure master, right? My fishing coach with power fishing and stuff. But the Simcoe 75 is one that took me a little bit to develop confidence. But I watched Hiroshi and myself over 9 months in all the water temperatures and conditions catch really good fish, like walleye, trout, smallmouth. We caught largemouth, we caught pike with it. But it's got a very, very unique vibration and shimmer. And then this is also another lure that people that are fishing lake trout or walleye and vertical jig have been giving us excellent reports, and we've had great reports from people in my boat even. You know, we don't use it all the time, but when we have, it's produced some amazing fish. But the lighter one is really nice. Anywhere you throw a spinnerbait or a crankbait, so anywhere over weeds, on the edges of weeds. The other scenario was if you're in a boat and you have, let's talk live for a second, but if you have any type of forward-facing or down imaging, you know, the live technology like the Humminbird Mega Live, this shows up amazing on it. And watching fish react, even just recently on some recent trips to the Niagara, watching how fish engage with this and how it has like a drawing power, if that makes sense. Like just the vibration and noise it makes. It's pretty impressive. So you just saw, that's what we call the stop and go. The other scenario is you're marking, anybody fish like the Niagara Bar area or different parts of Lake Ontario, you've seen those huge schools of alewife. It's been a really good bait for, say you're in 50 feet of water and the fish, you see them down 20 feet, you know, doing that like yo-yo in the school. This is the heavyweight, and it's significantly heavier, but I wanted to show you something that we've been doing with this, and Hiroshi figured this out through testing, is the vertical jig with it. I do this thing that Hiroshi showed me where I do like a quick lift, and I leave my rod tip at that level and let the lure pull the slack down. But this cadence here with this bait, it's got like a darting, gliding action. Fish seem to like it. But this has been a deadly technique. Guys have given us reports on Lake Ontario for big Lakers, Bay of Quinte for walleye, Muskoka Lakes and Lake Joe for smaller Lakers. But there's something about this bait that it's very deceiving because it looks very similar to other baits, but it's something about the way it triggers fish. The larger size weighs between 3/4 of an ounce and an ounce, and the smaller size a half ounce. But great search bait, cast and reel. You know, it's got a real easy style. And then also, this is the jigging or the vertical line tie. It's an excellent bait. It's not fouling, but it's an excellent bait to vertical jig, either just with traditional 2D ice fishing or with the live technology. So the Simcoe 75 and the Simcoe 75 heavyweight, these have been available for about a year now. The ND, when's the 95 ND coming up?
Spring.
This spring, the ND 90, Erie 95 ND
Yes.
will be available. And this is another. These are all just new products. I don't have a lot of time. There's another presentation if you're here at 3:30 where I'm going to spend a lot more time getting into stuff and be a bit more specific. But I just wanted to highlight a few really cool baits that are now available or coming out soon for Nishine Lure Works. This guy here, hard to see, but this is the smelt head finesse. And I was bugging Hiroshi for a long time to make this for steelheading, for float fishing on the Niagara, and I wanted a lighter one with a really strong hook. So he did it, but we found that it wasn't just a float fishing steelhead thing. No, I think a lot of times in deep water, we fish sometimes too heavy. And I've learned that there's a lot of fish that love to suspend, and there's at times, even the shallows, where smallmouth, largemouth, we call walleye testing this, they like that slow, glidey, kind of natural presentation. But it's got a little blade on it that creates wobble with the lure, left, right, gives it like different erratic action. It's really important with the light one is to fish it with light line, light braid, or light fluorocarbon or monofilament. If you go too heavy with this, they won't. You won't get the same action. I'm using 6-pound braid and either 7 or 8 or 6-pound fluorocarbon leader. I typically fish it on a spinning rod. If you go too heavy, you won't be able to get the same action, and you won't be able to feel the bait working. If you use anything heavier, you kind of got to use a float to cast it. But this will be available when, Hiroshi?
Fall.
This fall. So if you want a great follow-up bait, if you're a smallmouth guy or bass guy, you know when those smallmouths sometimes come in and they veer off. This has picked up so many fish. I like to pair it. This is a little Nishine Lure Works drop shot minnow. We got two sizes, a bunch of colors, but that combination there just flat out catches fish. So it's a great follow-up bait if you're seeing fish follow. It's a great bait if you're a trout guy and you fish anywhere in the Great Lakes under a float. It's a real sneaky way to give steelhead a look, especially in the winter or in the spring. And then if you're a tournament guy, you know, this falls right into that same kind of category as the marabou. Really light and gliding when fish are off and they want something neutral. And then the two retrieves, and I'm going to leave you with this, I'm going to get down for the next guy, is you can do this little rod tip high. See how I'm barely reeling, doing like a slow twitch? Real gentle, less is more. The other one is you can do stop and go and just let it glide. With your rod tip up, so it's always kind of pendulum down. That a lot of times drives them crazy. You know, and obviously, if you're an ice fisherman, I haven't used this to the ice, but I have vertical jigged it just like this. And I've used this as deep, no joke. I've used this as deep as 30 feet of water, 25 feet of water. No problem if you use the right gear. So lighter tackle, lighter line, lighter braid will make a huge difference. So take a look at this. This has also got a really strong hook. This fall, we caught smallmouth, I don't know, on the Great Lakes smallmouths are big ones. No bending, no issues, and really impressive results so far. So that's just 3 things that we have available. Come by the booth if you want to see more, if you have any questions. Does anybody have any now before I jump down? No? Okay guys, again, I'm Paul Castellano. Thanks so much for coming. Check out the Nishine Lure Works booth. Maybe head by one of the retailers here to see their product if you're interested, and enjoy the show.
Give him a big hand, folks. What a pile of information in a short time. Thank you very much, sir.